what's on your mind. You talk it out. You got the time. You thought about it. Let's talk about it. No doubt about it. I got you. ValTrenda all day.
Oh my God. Welcome back. Welcome back to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for Melanated Mental Health. Welcome back from break, not a commercial break, but the holiday break, right? We gained some weight, all of that stuff. And Happy New Year. Happy New Year. This year, we have some fun, exciting, and new things that are happening here on the Mocha Media Network. That was a good and long break, but now we have work to do. First thing is we've moved to Saturdays at noon. Obviously, right? It's Saturday at noon. We've moved from Friday at noon to Saturday at noon. So make sure you mark your calendars because you don't want to miss all of the future episodes that we have coming up. The people have spoken, and you all said that it would be better if you watch the ValTrenda Show on your day off. Same show, different day. Okay? Now, let's start and talk about the PPP. No, not the PPP loan, but post-pandemic plans. What are your post-pandemic plans? Which I'm hoping that you're going to say it's going to include some mental health strategies to better your mental health, to get you better, to put you back on the right track, all of those things. We're hoping that everything that impacted you from the pandemic, now you're putting into something into play to say, you know what, let's get this together, right? So for me personally, thankfully, no one in my household contracted the virus. And just because we did it, there were still some side effects. We still had people that we knew that contracted the virus. My daughter's friends, some of them have contracted the virus. My son's entire college basketball career was severely impacted by this. So, and what about you? Maybe you weren't initially or directly impacted, or maybe you were. Maybe you were impacted by it. What about some of the things that are impacted by the pandemic? Customer service. Maybe we're sitting on hold a lot longer. Maybe we're taking longer for the food services. They're not the same. The prices are escalating and everything is just out of control. Now, having said all of that and having seen all of that, but especially having experienced all of that, how is your mental? Are you happier? Are you sad? Are you affected mentally? Tell me. Comment below and let me know how you were affected and what are your plans now that we are trying to rebuild, that we're trying to get through this together. What are your PPP? Post-pandemic plans, not the PPP loan. So today, a wonderful show. Today we begin our We Don't Talk About Bruno series. Now, if you haven't seen the movie Encanto, then you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. In the movie, there's an uncle, brother, son. He's all of these things, but his name is Bruno. And Bruno represents everything in the Black and brown community that we don't talk about, such as suicide, molestation, rape, financial literacy, mental health, homosexuality, and so much more. This series that we're going to talk about is going to enlighten all of us in the things in the Black and brown community that we don't talk about. We don't talk about Bruno, no. But yes, 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 we do. Stay right there. Don't go too far, but stay there. And we are going to be right back with more of the ValTrenda Show.
All right, Mocha Marvels, we're moving to Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. So please, please, please be sure to check us out. Bring family and friends. Get your little, what in the morning, Corey?
We're gonna add a little flavor to your morning blend, but just now.
Welcome back to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for Melanated Mental Health. Now that we've got all that cute stuff out of the way, Happy New Year, it's celebration. Now it's time for us to begin our first discussion in our We Don't Talk About Bruno series. These are the things we don't talk about. Suicide is undoubtedly one of them. Suicide in our Black and Brown community is not strange. It's not peculiar. It's unheard of. Now let's talk about why it's unheard of. It's because our Black and Brown community, we are so used to being killed, so it's unheard of for us to kill ourselves. We already have enemies out there killing us, so it doesn't make sense for us to kill ourselves. So immediately, as a Black woman, when I first heard of our dearly departed sister, Chesley Christ, initially I was like, there's no way. No way she could have done that. She fell from a building. Did you think what I thought? Because my first thought was, no, somebody must have done that. And we're conditioned to think that way because killing ourselves is unheard of. It's Bruno, and we don't talk about Bruno. No, 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 right? But yes, yes, yes. We later find out in an interview with Chesley's mother that Chesley was walking through life with high functioning depression. What is that, you may ask? You may have heard high functioning alcoholic or high functioning crackhead or drug addicted person, but we don't really talk about Bruno. We don't really talk about a high functioning depression. We don't really talk about that. Now, typically people who are dealing with that are diagnosed with having persistent depressive disorder, also known as PDD. Some of the common symptoms of PDD include a lack of energy or constant fatigue. Those with PDD or high functioning depression experience symptoms for at least 2 years. Now, some of the signs that you may be dealing with high functioning depression is, or maybe you know someone who may be dealing with high functioning depression. Some of the signs that you may be dealing with some form of that is people tend to describe you as gloomy or a downer. It may be hard for you to see the bright side of things. Or some people may describe you as lazy because you can't seem to get it together. It's difficult for you to muster up the energy to accomplish some simple basic task like laundry or doing the dishes. Or maybe it's hard for you to feel good about yourself, even when someone gives you a compliment. You may continuously look for ways to criticize yourself, either internally or externally, mainly to others. What about your weight? Maybe your weight fluctuates. It goes up, it goes down. You can't seem to keep an appetite. You can't seem to, you don't know what you want to eat. And that deters your mood. Now, today, we're going to talk to JV James, who's a good friend of mine. He's a stylist, a makeup artist, an image consultant, and a barber. And he's going to share with us his story about his direct contact with suicide. Be sure that you listen in attentively to his story. Check this out. Everybody, and welcome back to the ValTrenda Show. Now, this week, I know you see a big smile on my face, but I'm happy because, the next guest that's going to be coming on talking is very special to me, very dear to me. But the story behind this, you would have never known because of his big smile, his huge support, and just his phenomenal personality. So I'm happy that he is finally came to the point to where he can tell his story about something so intimate. And so we're going to hear directly from the man himself, JB James. Hey, JB.
What's up, Val? Thanks for having me. What's up?
So tell me about, let's just dive right into it. So we've been talking all week, the last couple of weeks, really, about how serious and how sensitive suicide is. My specialty goes directly into handling those and talking to those who are suicidal, who have been suicidal and things like that. But I want you to tell me your personal story, because the people who have committed suicide, they're obviously not here to tell what was really going through your mind at the time that you thought about it. So tell me about that.
Right. First, I just want to say I'm so proud of ValTrenda doing this movement. This is so important. I'm so excited about where you're going. But moving in, I would say about 15, 16, I was going through a dark period. Being the youngest out of two siblings, my parents had me older.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I came, they were about 44. They actually didn't want any more kids. My brother, he was in an age where he was getting married. My sister was around, but she had her life. She older teenager. So I really didn't have anybody. My dad was very protective. He really wouldn't let me hang out with friends, and I probably didn't really hang out with friends until I was probably 15, 16, 17. So for me, it was church, school, home. So I really I didn't know what a mentor, I didn't know any of that. With that, I was looking for an escape. So I was dating. For me, it was trauma because I didn't have anybody to vent to, talk to. So, and I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like in a sense of mistake. Like, my parents said, they slip up pregnant. That wasn't supposed to happen. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, maybe that's why, I just feel alone, or that's why I feel isolated, misunderstood. But with that, when I was able to date or whatever I wanted to do, I found myself, I guess, trauma bonding with the traumas of feeling like I don't belong. I would connect with people that also felt like they didn't belong. And with that, it came a lot of dark moments. For one, miscarriage. Yeah, I was supposed to be a dad. That was actually 15. Kept that quiet for a long time. So I would say 17, 18, fast forwarding. I just thought I was like, wow, I haven't told anybody this situation. I already feel like I don't belong. I feel like a failure. I can't really talk to nobody. It's embarrassing. Father at 15. Didn't happen. What's my purpose? Who do I go to? At that time, we didn't hear about counselor. We heard about go to the altar, pray. And that's a very great solution, but you need therapy. you need someone to talk to. You need a mentor. For sure. Your mentor is not always going to be your parents. Yes, it's good to have that relationship with them, but at the end of the day, it's good to have a mentor you can go to. I vaguely remember I blacked out. I remember I was on Harold Franklin Bridge, and the enemy was just telling me, you know, you're a failure. Like nobody wants you. Your parent, that you were a mistake. Had a miscarriage at 15. You haven't told anybody that. You know, doing heavy ministry in church, but feeling like I was being prostituted for my gift. So that's another reject. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm done. You know, I was functioning. I think it's Miss USA. They say she was diagnosed with functioning depression. That's what I was. So being funny, being goofy, that was all me functioning. That was me literally functioning. And that day coming home from work, I said, I'm done functioning. I'm done. I'm done. I don't know my purpose again. I don't have nobody I can talk to that I trust. Those that I did trust manipulated situations to make me not trust anybody. I literally remember going into like a blackout on the Howard Franklin Bridge, doing about 115, 120, literally cruise control. I remember literally taking off my seatbelt and jumping in my back seat in fetal position, blacked out, bawling, blacked out. And I remember when I came to, I was on the side of like West Shore. It's an exit on West Shore heading to Raymond James Stadium exit. I was parked, car running, parked, car still in drive, not moving, on the side of grass.
How did that happen?
I don't know. I will say that's when my relationship with God went from religion to relationship.
Wow.
That's when I knew God for myself, who he was. And I was beginning to start a relationship with him around that time, even more in a different sense of what I was taught. God protected that car. He protected my life. Yeah, that literally shook me. I remember looking up and I'm like, why am I still here? And I got mad. But in seconds, God began to speak to me, and I just started crying. I just started bawling, and I started repenting. And I was like, I was finna lose my life over, and I take responsibility, accountability, because I didn't want to be vulnerable. I feel like maybe if I gave my parents that chance or someone that chance to talk to, that I wouldn't have gotten there. The first thing people say is, well, why would you do that? You know, you got people that love you. When you're in a dark place mentally, you don't think about that kind of stuff. You're crippled to what you're going through. You don't really think about all that other stuff. But I do feel like, now that I'm older, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to talk, say something. You may not want to say everything, but say something. I was very quiet. I was very shy. To this day, I still, I have moments where I'm shy, believe it or not.
Well,
I have to push through it. It's a process, but
well, you know what? It takes a lot to get me speechless, and I'm speechless. I am speechless. Let me take a pause real quick, and we're gonna come right back. We'll ask JB a little bit more questions and go a little bit deeper into what his thought process was, but just stay right there. Don't go anywhere. If you're gonna go somewhere, come right back. And we have more of the ValTrenda Show. Happy Black History Month. And let me tell you about this Black woman who is extremely important to me and who is definitely going down in our history books in our mental health community. My inspiration, Miss Iyanla Van Zandt. We are back with the ValTrenda Show. We are speaking with JB James, who is a makeup artist, stylist, everything. He's my personal stylist, if you haven't known. But we are back with him, and we have come back to ask JB a little bit more questions to get a little bit more information inside of what he was thinking, what was going on in your mind. So JB, I did have to gather myself because, the point of talking about these things is to understand that people can be so close to you and you haven't got a clue what they're experiencing or what they have experienced. And you wonder why people shine as bright as they do, because they have come from such dark places. So when you're talking about being in the car, was your intention to kill yourself, to end your life? Was that your intention?
Absolutely, yes.
So taking off the seatbelt, hopping into the back seat of the car, was you saying that's it? And however it ends, that's how it ends.
That's how it ends. And if there's purpose for my life, I will survive.
Wow. So do you think it was a challenge? Do you think that you kind of challenged God? Like, you put me here, you tell me if I'm supposed to be here, then I was supposed to be here.
Most definitely, because I already for years felt like I was a mistake.
Oh, wow.
I was always different. I never did what everybody did. I always dressed different. I was called names because I was different. But I went through a phase where I was being baggy clothes and FUBU, and I just, trying to fit in and still didn't fit in. Then I was still the church boy.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, where do I belong? So yeah, it was a challenge.
Have you ever thought of it like that? Like you actually challenged God?
Now in my 30s, yes. I because till this day, I still reflect back to that day. That's how I'm able to press forward. Now I'm like, yeah. So whatever circumstance I'm dealing with now, I go back to that moment and know that was a challenge. I challenged God.
Right. That's good, because you did survive it. You got the answers that you want. Yeah. Now let me make you think for a second. Suppose maybe you didn't end your life, but it didn't turn out as safe as it did turn out. Suppose you hit someone else, your car flipped, their car flipped. And have you thought about what would have been the outcome then? What would have happened to you mentally had someone else had died?
Didn't think of that, because even though I said if I survive, I'll survive, my ultimate goal was to die. Mm. So with that being said, at that moment, no. Because flesh was saying you're gonna die. The enemy was saying you're gonna die. So anything that would have hurt your parents, the people that was driving next to you, I wouldn't have known, because I would have been out of here.
Right. So that wasn't a thought of yours. You weren't thinking about anyone else but yourself.
I just wanted the pain to cease.
Got it. So how do you deal with now? First, before you answer that, did you seek help, professional help after that?
Yes. When I turned 22, shout out to Dr. Green, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I reached out and I told him, I said, I need a mentor, and you are on my heart. I had a mentor at 20, and let's say they tried to manipulate the situation, which almost brought me back, because you go to somebody vulnerable about what you're dealing with, and they use that against you to get something out of you. And when they can't get that out of you, it's like another rejection. So
Wow.
yes, thanks be
Yeah.
unto God, I did go see.
Good.
Till this day, it's daily work. Daily work. Till this day, I'm still putting in work.
Yeah, and that's my next question was today. You know, you say, for instance, you battle something mentally.
Right.
You somehow get faced again with that rejection, with the fear of being vulnerable. How do you handle that today?
I tell myself I am enough. I'm not a mistake, and anything that comes along the way, I'm strong enough to overcome it. You know, I have to encourage myself daily, and also watch my surroundings and who I surround myself with, and
Good.
those that speak in life into my life as I do the same. I'm big on helping people, and I like
Yes,
to
you
see people
are.
win. Yes, I love to see people win because I know what it feels like to feel like you're losing, and
Yeah.
you could be in a room full of people and you're literally the only one in there. So
That's
yeah,
good.
that's what pushes me past.
Thank you so much, JB. Speak to the younger JB right now who's out there in the world, who's in Hawaii or California or Alaska or Asia. Speak to the younger JB who's feeling the same thing you felt back then. Speak to them. Give me like 60 seconds of encouragement to that person.
So first off, I just want to say thank God for life. You know, so many times we just don't have the answers. Sometimes it can be from parents. What helped me as looking at the younger version of me, I would say your parents did the best that they could. They did what they knew how to do. Forgive that situation, because a lot of times you feel like you can't for certain reasons. My upbringing, it was church. But now looking back, I would say give people a chance. Those that are around you, give them a chance. You know, it's okay to be vulnerable. Actually, I was in prayer last week, and I actually wrote this down last night because it came back to me. And I would tell myself, don't waste your pain in the thing you don't want to talk about, because greater is ahead with those things that you do not want to talk about. Those things that you feel misunderstood in, let it work in your favor. I would not be where I'm currently at. I can't say everything, but just say I'm in a great place with certain things, opportunities, because I spoke. Speak. We would rather have you here. There's no promise taking your life. There's no promise in being quiet. Speak, be vulnerable. Pray, ask God to surround you with people that will push you to your purpose, because people do love you. Believe it or not, there's more for you than against you. There's somebody that understands what you're going through. You're not the only one dealing with what you're dealing with. Somebody understands.
JB, thank you so much. Thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing your story, the very intimate part of you. You know, like you said, we see the laughing, joking, goofy, you know, have fun, and the creative JB. We see that all the time. So thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for this time. Thank you again. And we will be back with more of the ValTrenda Show.
Be sure.
Hello, everybody. I'm Liz Everett.
And I'm Stephanie J.
Don't forget to watch The Fab Lab at 11 a.m. on Saturdays. We are all about fashion and the art of beauty, among other things in our laboratory.
We are right before the ValTrenda Show on the Mocha Media Network.
Welcome back to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for Melanated Mental Health. We're going to do something different today for the recovery room. This time, I have invited my sisters of the Mocha Media Network to discuss this huge topic. And so, yes, we are going to talk about Bruno today. Now, watch out now, because they're a little feisty. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for Melanated Mental Health. I have with me all of my Mocha Media sisters. These are my sisters from the Mocha Media Network, and we're going to talk about something completely serious. We're going to have a genuine conversation, and I'm ready to have it with them because these ladies know how to keep it real. So it doesn't matter what we talk about, but they're ready to give it. So I'm going to introduce them. This is Liz Everett. Everybody say hi to Liz. Liz.
Hello. So excited to be on the ValTrenda Show.
And then we have Miss Keisha Boyd.
Hola, hola. Hello, everybody.
And then we have Miss Shalette.
Hi, everybody. So glad to be here today.
Oh, she sounds so serious and dignified. I love it. Okay, so let's get right to it. So this particular, these past couple of weeks, we've been having a lot of deaths by suicide. And you guys know it's mental health. This is a mental health show. So you have to let me know how you felt. Let's talk about Chesley first. Let's talk about Chesley. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, initially, did you guys have this feeling? When I heard that she fell from the top of the building or whatever floor it was, I don't know specifically, I initially thought, there's no way. I was like, somebody pushed her. Did you guys think that?
Well, I was shocked. Like I had to read it 2 or 3 times and make sure that I was reading it right. Google the person. I'm like, wait a minute. What? I was really, really shocked. Like, what? And then I was like, wait a minute. It might be something behind this. Like something ain't right. I gotta wait for some more news.
So I'm not the only one that thought that. So did you think it? Did you think that too? Like I initially thought like, no, there's something more to the story. Somebody pushed her.
Yeah, I absolutely thought that foul play was, an element of her death. Many of my friends, we have a friendship chat, and they were just like, it just didn't make any sense for someone with not even so much promise, so much accomplishment,
right,
to have wanted to kill herself. And you never know, like, especially at that level of celebrity, who's after you, the type of people who are after you. So I definitely did not believe that she would. And then to be a person of color,
yes,
and throw your body
right,
off a building, that's just not what we do.
Right, exactly.
A woman also on top of that. That's not
exactly. Liz, I know you knew Chesley personally. So tell me what you're like. Did you initially think that at first? Like it was foul play or?
I had so many thoughts, honestly. I will say this. To meet her was to meet the brightest light that you've ever met in your entire life. And I was just glad that I had the opportunity to tell her thank you. Thank you for her representation. Thank you for the way that she stood up during Black Lives Matter, because she took a beating during that, to be honestly, and she took a beating, honestly, being one of the oldest Miss USAs to win. And everything, the most minute details in our lives are so magnified on that level. And I've said before, when we've talked about this same subject on Mocha, the people that I know who are the most at risk are the folks that all of us think have it the best, have it going on the most. And it just makes me, I'm heartbroken for Chess. I'm heartbroken for her family, and I'm heartbroken for her 2 best friends, because I can't imagine those 2 amazing women feeling like, what else could I have said? What else could I have done? Yep. But I think that in this space, we have to break from that stereotype of what we as Black people do when it comes to mental health, because this is a brand new day. People are going through things.
Right.
And we have to make it safe for people to speak up about what they're going through. And I think, mental health as a whole is so new for the Black community and the brown communities all around us. So, it's just devastating. It's devastating.
Right.
And after reading her essay, it was even more devastating.
Do you believe that she was a high functioning depression, like she had that?
I don't want to speak on her, but why not? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
okay.
Because I think the thing that we all have to honor is that when you want to push for a certain level and you get a quarter of being there and you can smell it, you know what I mean? And then you've been able to smell some of that rarefied air, and then you're trying to figure out, where do I go from here? Okay, this is what I've done over 2 years. Now what? You know what I mean? It can easily put people in a headspace of, what do I do next? Where else is there for me to go? What if everything else I do fails from here? And to be not only a lawyer before you won Miss North Carolina USA, you know what I mean? There were so many things that she already had set in place that everybody else would have said, well, this girl could go higher if she would have had this. She tried to leave no room, for anybody to take any cracks at her. But at the same time, in that space, people have opinions and they're not informed. They don't know what it takes to be who you are, especially when that light is so bright.
Of course. And but even though we have individuals who don't have that bright light, we have people who are walking around every day, and we're all dealing with this. How many of all of us, how many of you guys specifically, Liz, Keisha, Shalette, how many of you have actually thought, oh my God, I might be depressed?
I didn't even think about, oh my God, I might be depressed. I mean, I have a very long history with mental illness. It's no secret to my circle of friends, and I have no, issue with sharing it with the public. And, from a very young age, I had to try to figure out what was going on with me emotionally. And it's hard it's really difficult for me personally to recognize when I'm depressed. There are certain triggers that I realize that I have, and certain behaviors I know that I kind of fall into when I know I'm in low functioning depression, right? When we talk about low functioning depression, it's just like, I'm watching a few too many movies on the weekend. I'm really, my productivity is really, really low. And, I recognize that I'm depressed. And there are other little things that, I've shared with my family whenever I get like that. So that, for me personally, I understand what it is for me to be depressed. And whenever I hear friends talking to me about them also kind of experiencing depression, maybe they're experiencing a high functioning level of depression where it doesn't present itself as like, oh, woe is me, the world is over, I'm such a bad person.
So what does it look like then? What does high functioning depression look like?
Anger, frustration with the world. Why can't everybody else just get it together?
Right.
You know what I mean? So there are different types. I definitely would not say I'm a high functioning depressive. I'm your traditional type of depressive. And I've made moves in my life to create a life that does not put me in that space.
Good. Well, thank you for that. Let me go to a break real quick. We're going to come right back, and I'm going to ask you guys a little bit more deeper questions about these particular situations so that we can give our audience an opportunity to learn a little bit more about you and to learn a little bit more about, what we're talking about, suicide, depression, all of the above. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for Melanated Mental Health. And I'm here with If you're just now joining us, I'm here with my Mocha Media sisters, all of the Mocha Media Network sisters, and we're here talking about suicide. If you're just now joining us for the very first time, we are on our We Don't Talk About Bruno series. This particular episode, we're talking about suicide. And I know it's a very deep conversation, a very deep, scary word, but we want to talk about it because we need to bring some light to suicide in our Black and Brown community, and more specifically with our Black and Brown sisters. Now, we've been talking, before we went on break, we've been talking to my Mocha Media Network sisters about Chesley, who committed suicide I believe it was the end of January. And we've been talking to these ladies about, their experience with it. And I want to ask you all, again, ladies, thank you for joining me. Let me ask you this very serious question. Has there been at any given time that you yourself have thought about committing suicide?
I have not personally. I have never considered suicide. I just, quite honestly, I was just thinking before you took a break that I asked myself internally as Shalette was talking, if I would really honestly recognize if I was depressed.
That's good.
I really don't know, because we go. Like, it's like, I don't have time to be depressed. I got so much to do.
But isn't that typical for a Black woman to be like, I don't have time to be sad. I don't have time to sit down and soak in my feelings because I got kids, I got a husband, I got a boyfriend on the side. I got all these different things, and I don't have time to be sad in everything that I'm going through. But
it's like, get over it, get it done, worry about it later. And I'm like, she was talking about, well, if I watch too many movies, I'm like, is that a sign of depression? Like, I don't know if, and it's personal for everybody I know, but I really have to evaluate, because sometimes I get in my moments where I'm like not productive, or I'm feeling like I can't do something, then maybe that's my depressed, you know what I mean? But I'm like, would you even recognize if you were depressed? I think if I had that question, that just in that moment, I'm sure others have that question, like, would you recognize if you are depressed or going toward that direction? And I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think that I've ever been depressed, down, maybe not in a mood, in a kind of funk mood. I'm a Cancer, so it happens. But,
right.
If I don't think that I've been depressed, but.
But that's a very good point, because how many other Black and Brown women out there are now thinking the same thing? Like Shalette brought up a good point. If I'm home in my bed a little bit too long, or am I watching the movies a little bit too longer, that's a sign for her. And now, you have to now think about, what's my sign? What is it about me that says, okay, you're kind of staring down the barrel of depression right about now, and you're going to have to start getting yourself up? Like, Liz, do you have symptoms that you recognize within yourself that you say, okay, I'm a little bit off balance right now. I'm kind of staring down, being anger. It doesn't always have to be depression. It could be anger, that shows its rear head.
Well, I battled with severe depression. Well, I was bulimic from 7th grade till about 23. Then I battled severe depression from about 18 to 29. I tried to commit suicide 3 times in my early 20s. Found out at 32 I have ADHD, like all the things, so I have to be very careful. When I about 21 is when I go, hey, I have a problem, right? And they weren't talking about eating disorders then, like at all, like super, was just like a rich white girl disease. And because my mom is white, it made sense to people why I could contract bulimia, because that's for white girls and your mom's white. So, okay, cool.
Wow.
And
that's interesting.
Yeah, right. And so my mom's family was very like, what book do we need to read? Who do you need to go see? How do we need to handle this? What is it? And then my dad's family was like, oh, so you've been lying to us. And I was like, what?
Right.
And that caused, I didn't speak to one of my aunts in particular who I really trusted and valued. And my mom said, you need to call her, let her know what's going on. I didn't speak to her for probably 7 or 8 years after that, because I felt like at the lowest point of my life, right? When I'm Miss USF, I'm all of these things, and my life is falling apart while I'm smiling in front of everybody. You know, I'm on the housing CD going, click here if you want to go to, if you want to see the Holly dorms, click here if you want to, you know, I'm everybody's Barbie doll, but my life is falling apart. And the thing that you have to say is that I've been lying. Like, I didn't know I had a problem, you know?
Right. And so, and you think about how many, you know, it goes back to, we don't talk about Bruno, you know, and it's those are those things that we just don't talk about. And so because we don't talk about them, we're going to throw something else in the pot that brings a little bit more attention than what you're really going through. And that's what unfortunately, historically, that's what we have dealt with in our Black and brown community, that we're just going to throw something else in there and it'll take precedence on what we want to talk about over your little depression, child. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that happens because it's like, it's unheard of. And the same thing, it goes back to what I said when initially, even though I study mental health, I'm into mental health, my first thought still was, no, there's no way she could have killed herself. Somebody had to do it, because in your mind as a Black woman, we don't do that. Keisha just said, I don't have time to be sad. So you definitely don't have time to commit suicide if you don't have time to be sad, right?
Yeah. So I've never had any suicide attempts. And then I had therapists tell me there's a difference between suicidal thoughts and suicidal ideation. And quite honestly, I can't tell you the difference. one is less than the other. Right. So
suicidal ideation is the idea of it. I wonder what it would look like. I wonder, you kind of just, it's the idea of it. Suicidal thoughts is you're actually thinking about committing suicide. Right. Suicide ideation is like the first step. It goes there, and then it goes to suicidal thoughts, and then you go to suicide attempt, and then, you know.
Yeah. I'm so glad I'm here for you to explain that. Mm-hmm. To me. So in my case, it would be suicidal ideation. And, you know, I'm in that spiral of depression where I'm just like, you know, no one's going to miss me if I just disappear. Like, you know, and honestly, I still do this all the time. I live the good life. You know what I mean? So, and it took, as far as Science for Depression, that movie watching trigger for me, it took my therapist to tell me that was depression. It took her to tell me that. So, and the other comment I wanted to add to that is, while you're going through your sickness, and from my experience, I don't want to speak for all people of color, growing up in the South, we just didn't have the tools available to us. We did not have the words to express to our family members how to explain what happened to my Aunt Renee, or what happened to my cousin Kim, or what's going on with my Uncle Ray. You know, we're just getting to the point now as a people, in my opinion, where we have platforms like this, and we're having the tools given to us in order to even to start the conversation about what it is we're feeling.
Right. You know, and another thing that we brought up before was that as a Black and brown person, a person of color, we are so used to being killed that killing ourselves is not a thought. It's not it's uncommon. So when you're on the outside and you hear someone else, you know, like Ian Alexander Jr., Regina King's son, a Black man, like, you think, right? I know the first thought in a regular person's mind was his mom was Regina King. So it couldn't have been money. You know, it couldn't have been like, what issues did he have? I mean, what did you really thought that, right? You were really like, now what could he have possibly been going through? You know, and I understand that it's a serious topic, but I know that's what we think. You initially think for Miss USA, you initially think, for what's his name, Moses, and that's, it's not I identified that he killed himself. The young man from
Moses Mosley
from Walking Dead.
Yes.
And it, it's just right now they're trying to figure it out if it was suicide or not. But you think about these, well, does it make more sense if a person of color killed themselves if they were just your Joe Blow down the street versus someone like Regina King's son? Does it have anything to do with money?
I think that people associate it with it can be dissected with a socioeconomic lens. If a homeless person commits suicide, people are like, oh God, they were just so depressed and just got tired of life being so difficult for them. Poor thing. But like you said, someone who has it all, has access and resources, like, why would you do that? Like, what happened? Because that is the first thing I thought with Miss USA. Like, she's Miss USA. She is freaking gorgeous inside and out, seems to be. She's, what was so bad, And then it makes you think, why, like they say, check on your strong friends, because we don't know what they're going through. They seem to be fine. They're smiling. They look gorgeous. And then when they get home, it's just like a meltdown. And if they don't have a safe place or a person, at least a person that they can really be vulnerable with, what else are they going to do?
It's so true. And let me ask you guys this last question. Maybe it's not. I might be lying. But let me ask you, do you have a safe person that you can talk to about your deepest, darkest feelings as a Black woman? Because, we normally as Black women, I don't have friends that are girls, you've heard that, right? So
I think, and Liz and Shalette, y'all can jump in and tell and say, but we have certain friends that we talk to about, right? But I do have one friend that I call my big sister that I feel completely open to telling her anything. And I don't feel judged. I don't feel like I just feel like she's just there to listen and give me her honest, genuine advice, and or not, or just be there to listen. So I do have a person, and if my husband, whatever, but that one person I do have that I feel like I can really just lay it all on the table, cry, and then I pick myself up and she's like, okay, we're all right. All right.
That's good. Liz, do you have a person?
Oh, girl, I get a checkup from the neck up every 2 weeks. My therapist tries to fire me every 2 months. You good, girl? I'm like, I'm not dealing with me. We're not doing this.
I'm not dealing with me.
Sir. 2 weeks from now, Tuesday at 2 p.m. Thank you.
That's good.
And I'll tell you, my 3 best friends, like, they have had to hear the dolphin sounds and try to find the sonar of where I am, because I've learned that my strength actually comes in my vulnerability. Yeah. And much like Shalette, I pay attention to my surroundings. I pay attention to, all the little things, especially with my ADHD, whether or not I've been, able to focus, all of those things. And I've learned to be very objective with myself, and to protect myself, because at the end of the day, I'm the one that can see what's going on. And I've learned that I can't help anybody else if I don't help me.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Shalette, you have a person?
Well, I'm really fortunate, first of all, to have gone through so many mental health issues in the past, and gone through a lot of therapy, and to know who I can trust. So I usually match energies. I have a very good friend, former roommate, who basically shared with me after I had an episode. I'm bipolar. I had a manic episode. And after, I got out of the hospital, she immediately shared with me the story of her suicide attempt. And she went on we both worked in the events industry, sort of kind of, when we were in DC, and now she's like a PhD. She's a therapist. And that's
amazing.
that kind of like
That's
trigged
amazing.
her to like go down that road. So she's definitely someone that I can call on. But I'm fortunate in that I am able to share and sit down with a group of clergy every week because I do work for the church. And we are in each other's lives. You know, we're
Yeah.
not nosy, but we give each other the space and opportunity to confess and really just like unload what's heavy on our hearts. And it's been tremendous. I'm very, very grateful for that.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, all of you ladies, my sisters. I am so grateful that you all have taken this time to share, personal information, what you dealt with, what you not dealt with, what you thought, what you didn't think. And that means so much to me. And on behalf of me and my audience, thank you. Thank you, ladies, for sharing and being vulnerable and sharing your time. So I definitely appreciate that. We're going to be right back with more. Before I go, Keisha, can you tell us where we can find the Mocha Morning Show?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can find Mocha in the Morning, where we're adding a little flavor to your morning blend every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on Facebook Live at Mocha Morning Show. Make sure you join us.
And Liz, where can we find your show?
You can find The Fab Lab on Facebook, facebook.com, The Fab Lab. And we're bringing you fashion and beauty every single Saturday at 11.
Yay! Thank you, ladies, again. We're going to be right back with more of the ValTrenda Show. Welcome back to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for Melanated Mental Health. Listen, we always have to give y'all some #happy, because the truth of the matter is sometimes you're not always #happy. But what makes you happy? I'll tell you what makes me happy. Staying my black tail home. I'm not playing. Staying home makes me happy. A couple of reasons. One, there was a time where I didn't have a home. After my divorce, I went through a lot and I didn't have a home to call mine. So staying home now means so much to me. Two, they went up on my rent, y'all. Like, it is out of control. It went up so high. So I plan on enjoying every piece of paint that's on these walls in my place. That makes me happy. So what did I do? I know I wanted to be home. I feel safe at home. Some people don't feel safe at home in their very own home that they pay for. They don't feel safe, but that's not going to be my testimony. And I don't want it to be yours. So I took something that was negative because I had a straight attitude about them raising my rent. And I know if they run up on yours, you got attitude too. And maybe you still got one, but let me help you out. I took something that was negative, that was bad, that directly impacted my life, okay? And I turned it into something good. So if I'm going to be in my house enjoying this, every last penny that I pay, I'm enjoying it, okay? What did I do? I started redecorating. I redecorated the restroom. I got a cleaning lady too, because first of all, I'm going to enjoy it and I'm not going to spend all my time cleaning it. Somebody else can do it. Praise God. So I love being home though. I redecorated. I started buying more African art, more Black art, pictures of my family, pictures of my godchild, pictures of all of anything that I want. Now I went to go clean out the patio. And it was a little scary out there because it was spider webs, but I want to now put furniture out there. That's what I did for my #happy. What about you? What are you doing for your happiness? What are you doing to pour happiness into others? What are you doing? So take this time, reflect on what it is that you want. to make you #happy. Now listen, it's been a joy. Now I know this show was pretty serious, but it's always a pleasure to be able to serve my Black and Brown community, bringing you facts and nothing but pure love. So thank you all for watching, and make sure that you mark in your calendars our new time, Saturday at noon. Saturday at noon, the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for Melanated Mental Health, will be brought to you from your phone, your laptop, your iPad, and everything else. But make sure you always tune in. I love you all. Don't forget to show love.